Hello, Dr. Wagner. I'm Daniel Dusenberry from Team Charlie with the ERP Sim, and today I'm going to be talking to you about what we learned in the initial trials. Dylan will be then going over our initial strategy, Matt is going to talk about our changes in strategy, and then Gary is going to talk about the results of our change and what we could have done better. To start off, we learned what our products would be. We decided to go with raisin, mixed, and fruit. And then in the initial trials, we realized how the prices are actually going to affect the sales. We kind of experimented with what kinds of prices and how much of an increment we should change by. And then from there, we kind of figured what should be our distribution centers. We figured out that the smaller distribution centers are going to have more shoppers, and so if we sell the smaller boxes of cereal to the smaller distribution centers, in the end we're going to have more total sales. After we looked into all that, we kind of checked out how marketing affects the overall sales and decided that we really just don't need it because we can sell what we need to sell without having marketing costs. And now Dylan is going to talk to you about our initial strategy.
Thank you, Daniel. Hello, Dr. Wagner. I'm Dylan Green. I will be addressing first slide 4, which is our Q1 initial strategy. Going into Q1, we still were unsure exactly how SAP worked in detail and everything. We only experienced everything with the mock trials, and we didn't have a big, broad strategy. So going into Q1, we broke down our strategy to 4 main points. Our first point was what blend to sell. As Daniel said, we noticed through the many trials, through the practice, that the best products that sold for us were the mixed fruit, the nut, and the raisin. Next, we decided to experiment with the BOM, the bill of material. We noticed that it could work out effectively for us. We noticed that if you change it from 1 kilogram to 500 grams, it could work out in our favor. We noticed this by looking at this figure right here. If you have 1 kilogram, let's say mixed fruit, and sell it for $4, and then you have 500 grams of the mixed fruit and sell it for $3, you have half the material going into the product than the kilogram, but still selling it at 3/4 of the cost. So over time, as you see here, the profit per sale rises, and eventually, as time goes by, the 500 gram will eventually benefit us the best. Next, we looked at pricing at different distribution centers. 10 being the large distribution centers like Costco or type of that, and then 12 being like a grocery store, and 14 being like a 7-Eleven type deal. We noticed that we have to price differently for different types of products. 10s would be more likely to buy the kilogram, so we'd raise the prices for the kilogram bill of material, and then for the 12s and 14s, we would raise the prices for the 500 grams because they're more likely to sell that, to buy that. Lastly, we looked at how marketing affected our overall sales, and we noticed that there was really no positive correlation between that, so we decided to, going into it, we would implement no marketing at all and see how that would benefit us in the end of the quarter, and it seemed like it didn't affect us at all, so we limited that cost. Next, I'm going to be addressing slide 5, our Q2 drop. We first, the reason we had such a bad Q2 was because we had loose price controls. We would check our prices on Monday and Wednesday, and pretty much that's it, instead of checking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at least, and changing our prices in accordance with our market change. Also, we had a stock out at the end of Q1, and we didn't leave ourselves with enough material to go over to Q2, so we started out with a 6-day loss of production. Then we tried to experiment by adding another product and increasing our product variety, which also affected our product downtime. Twice in the month we had half a day of production downtime because we had to switch over all the machinery to accompany the change in material. So that's a full day. Those 2 half days, a full day of no production, which really cost us. And then last, we saw that after Q1, the other teams realized what they were doing and caused competition to us, which made our products not sell as well. So put all those things together, and pretty much brings our Q2 drop. Now Matt's going to come and talk about slide number 6.
Hello, Dr. Wagner. Matthew Kelly here. I'm going to talk to you about slide number 6, which was our change in strategy. We had two main points that we wanted to address after quarter 2, and that was price control and inventory control. Both were kind of one and the same. We discovered through our price control, if we more regularly check the system, update our prices depending on our sales, we were going to be able to keep a steady increase of inventory as long as our supply was higher than our demand. And like I said, the way to control that was through our price. So thus, through price control, we were able to control our inventory better. That helped us out big time in quarter 3 and quarter 4 because we were able to roll over inventory into the next quarter, which avoided downtime, which was 6 days if we'd stocked out from the quarter before because of the lead time for production. So we were able to avoid that 6 days of no sales, no production because of our change in strategy. And that also helped us with our change in strategy, a reduction of downtime. In addition to that, we just started making larger production orders, which were approximately 300,000 or more. So if we were going to do a run on production, we didn't want to change over immediately. We wanted to build up our inventory more than we had before. I think before we were playing it safe, and we discovered as long as we had product, we'd be able to sell it by changing our price. So that became part of our new strategy. We also used the ability to look at our prior quarter's market prices and as well as our competitors' market prices to figure out our own pricing and kind of predict where we should be and know what is a good competitive price. So those are our main points that helped us in changing our strategy, and Gary's going to talk to you a little bit more about the results of that change in strategy. Dr. Wagner.
Hello, Dr. Wagner. How are you doing? My name is Gary Black. I'm going to be introducing slides 7 and 8, which are the result of change in strategy as well as the possible improvement that we could have made during the whole process. Some of the changes and the results of the change were increasing productivity. We were able to actually produce more product. That way we prevented some of the changeover time. And by producing a higher quantity or volume of the lots, we were able to sell more, increasing our sales in the end run. This also helped with reduce the cost associated with the changeover time. As you have heard before, we incurred a few costs because we were not able to produce. So we eliminated this and eliminated the downtime as well. When we started off, we originally started with 2 products, and then we picked up another product, the 500 gram of the nut, because we were able to get a larger share of the market profits. We soon learned that we needed to eliminate one of them and just focus more on our primary products. During this whole time, we could have improved by looking at our pricing strategy. Some of the other teams began to switch their prices up, and if we had more readily been aware of this, we could have switched our prices accordingly so that we would still have some of the market share. And the way that we actually produce our stock was by periods instead of yearly, just to look at the bigger picture and things. We would produce for that period and then stop and then begin to produce. If we made an aggregate production a little higher, we were able to space it out over a year basis. This would allow us to actually keep sales going instead of stocking out. When you're stocking out, you're not making money for your company, and the customers are not happy with that. With that, I would go into the conclusion that our strategy included increasing sales, increasing productivity, limiting our line of product, as well as some of our price controls. Thank you. Have a good day.